Okay, so we're going to go through the civil sales currently available in GDOT's Interchange, DG, and Live. There's a ramp entrance. There's a couple of turn lanes. And then there's ramp exit. There's a parallel version of that and a tapered version. And kind of going back to this entrance here, that is just a parallel version there. All right, and as far as the turn lanes, you would actually, use those, with your exit or entrance parallels there. If they ended, if they ended shortly after the terminal area. And speaking of terminal, that's really, these sales are just for the terminal, really just your takeoff or your ending of your ramp alignments there, just the terminal areas. All right, so we're going to start off and go through the ramp exit parallel. We'll go through placement and edits of it. All right, so through road edge of pavement, and then the ramp start point. Now I placed a point out here, and there's a lot of, several different ways you could do this. You could place a parallel line off of that and snap to that point. You could data point out here just to get it approximate. That's okay too. But I really just placed this here so I'd know about where I wanted to place it in this example. And quite honestly, you could place a point out there like I did. All right, so I'm going to go in and choose that as my ramp start point. And I say choose that, basically all I do is data point. All right, and the geometry looks good. If we'll look at that direction of arrow there. All right, and the geometry looks good, so I'll reset and accept this cell. All right, so I'm going to turn off construction class here initially. And then what we're going to kind of go through next is going to be the horizontal edits. I didn't have an option to clip there. I may go back and add that to the cell, but to me it's better to go in here and just use a template display road to cut off the main line, shoulder, and end condition through this terminal area there. Okay, so as far as edits, that data point, obviously that control will start. But the first element placed in the cell is this radius control here. And that's, if we're just looking at this in properties, you can see that is I use arc from element rule there to place that. I think initially it's 5 degrees, I think, which is on your standard drawing. That back offset, which would be right here, is 12 feet. And initially it's 600 feet long. And we'll talk about the length a little bit later. You can see the template or the modeling really doesn't go beyond that paved shoulder point there, though. All right, so quite honestly, you could scoot this back some if you needed to, or whatever. All right, just kind of going through a few more of the edits here. So like I said, this element was built first, and then we're doing an offset from that with this one, and you can see that offset's negative 16 feet. I'll actually rotate this view. Maybe we can see this a little bit better. And then really the next element placed, so after element 1, element 2, the next element placed is actually this arc here. And it's we'll look at the fillet rule. You can see it's a 5-foot radius. 10 feet offset off of this edge of pavement, off your mainline edge of pavement. 3 feet off of this 16-foot line there. And then basically from there we've got a taper going back 60 feet from there. All right. And then we also have a taper going back right here. It's 150 feet. All right, so any of those values, I'm actually not going to choose or change any of those values. They actually all match, the standard drawing for a parallel exit there. Besides that, I'm trying to think of any more horizontal edits. And to me, there really, there really are none. Other than there's a couple down here with your shoulders, and these are by the standards as well. This is 12 feet offset there. And then we're actually, from this point here, we're actually placing an element tangent there. And then we're copying parallel this. And then basically that's how we're coming in and locating that, this point right here. And really all this is all modeled with two different terrain models here. So you've got one for your pavement area, and then you've got one for your shoulder right there. And then the only other, we're actually not drawing anything past this. We'll actually use just a corridor model after we complete this ramp, right? We're going to complete this ramp and store it entirely. But after we do that, we'll come back in and add a corridor that takes off from there and goes forward. After we finish the horizontal, finish the vertical. All right. And we do have a linear template right over here on this other side right here that is drawing this. I think initially it's probably just a 6:1, which we'll come back in once we add our ramp, and we'll perform target aliasing and etc. and clipping. Or as far as slopes or vertical, really everything initially is just 2%, and I know that's not exactly correct, but that's just part of this process. Is you're going to have to look at what degree of curve you're placing here, calculate your super, and then go through the project slopes process as needed to get those slopes right. So if I go in here and look at this right here, you can see if we go look at actually not going to be on that, it's going to be on this one here. We'll see at -2%, right? But if I go grab that element, -2%. Even if I go grab that element, -2%. Same right here, -2%. So everything just initially is -2% off that main line edge of pavement. And like I said, you're just going to have to look at super elevation and get that situated right. And it'll be a matter of look at these areas right up here. This element right there, that's that break line you see right here. But that's also -2%. And so you got to look at what your super is, what your maximum pavement rollover value is, and kind of look at all that to determine that. And that's just something we're not addressing any of that in the sale. It's kind of maybe not impossible, but we might could set it up to where it's right if you're in a normal crown situation, right? But it's just projecting slopes is what you're going to have to do. You're just going to have to calculate super after you get through creating this alignment. I am going to go ahead and place another cell. So I'm going to go to model detailing, place civil cell, and we'll come in and place our turn lane. So back to interchange, and this is going to be a turn lane exit tapered. Alright, and I'll come in and choose the road edge of pavement, and then data point at the storage lane start. So that's going to be this point right there. And then if we'll look at the geometry, actually this thing's being placed over there. So I am going to want to reverse this to get that geometry in there correct. And we're getting a little close, about not having enough room for that taper. But quite honestly, if I didn't, I could place it and then fix that taper width or taper length or storage lane length, and it'd self-heal there. So I'll reset and accept. Okay. I'll turn this back around. And then I really think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean up. The edits on this are pretty straightforward. I'm not going to really go through any of the edits. 200 feet initially on the storage, 150 feet on the taper there. And then, like I said, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to come in and add a parametric constraint. And I'll tell you before I do that, I'm actually going to show you what we're looking at. Let's just go ahead and turn on construction class. Now let's just open up the cross-section view so you can kind of see what we're looking at right now. And then I'm going to just, we'll say, we'll just kind of take a look right in here. I set storage lane area. And, you know, what we're fixing to have to get rid of with the template display row is really this shoulder and then that end condition there that's on the main line. All right, and then if we'll move a little bit further up once we get rid of that. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. You know, so if we move on up to right in there, you can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as, so if I come in and move up to maybe right here, pretty much about the same thing. You know, you got that main line through road right there. And then if we move up to right in this area, we've got that area right in there to clean up. All right, so I'm gonna just move back to 53 plus on. And then let's go to corridor objects. Let's choose that corridor. And then we're going to go to parametric constraint. We're going to hit add new. And then your constraint's going to be that int underbar r. And then we just got to move it one. It really doesn't matter what the start and stop values here are. We're moving a point. And when we move it horizontally more than you know, anything greater than 0 really could be put here. So it's going to move that horizontally, and then that'll turn off, you know, that end condition and stuff there, shoulder stuff. Let's come in and, so we'll come in and just do a snap right here. So that's a start, and then I'm going to head down here to the end of this recovery taper here. We'll do a snap here, and then we got an intersection to the right. That's what that stands for, that INT right. And if we go through there, if we'll take a look here, you'll see some cleanup here. Okay. Well, so that actually looks much better there. Now let's go on and move up to really right in this gore area. I think it's really where we need to kind of pay attention to. And I'm really not too concerned with really anything in that right now. I think the next task, you know, we've got to come in and we've got to get through with our ramp. And then we'll start doing targeting and clipping, you know, through this overlap area. Alright, so like I said, next thing we're going to do, this will probably be a separate video, is we'll come in and store this alignment and show you how to get that kickoff grade. And quite honestly, we'll store the entire grade there, and then we'll come in and place a corridor for your interchange ramp next in that other video. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to show you that I just didn't do exactly right earlier. So I'm going to come in and, before we actually start working on that, or maybe that next video, I need to come in and look at this parametric constraints. I think I missed what should have been the end station here. So I think I snapped to that taper. And what I've actually done is I've extended this past this taper. I carry this, this work from this cell a little bit for that. And I do that really so you don't have an overlap right here. You know, in other words, you're placing perpendicular from that taper, and then you're placing perpendicular from your main line, those are going to overlap. So what I do is I put a little element there that's about, I think about 5 feet. Yeah, it's about 5 feet long. You make that a little longer if you want to. But what it does is it does a pretty good job of what you definitely get right here. You get a 90 degrees there, so you're not going to have any overlap with that. You know, maybe if it was too short, maybe you would, but I think that's fine. So instead of me snapping that end station, instead of it being at the taper, it's going to actually be, should have been in that little 5-foot segment. So I'm going to come in now and grab that and just come in and just do a couple hard snaps till I catch that end of that element there and confirm that new end station there. You're not going to really see anything in the 3D view. That's really where I should have snapped to originally when I added that intersection right parametric constraint there. All right, and like I said, we'll move to the next video to show you how to complete this ramp alignment over here.